Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Psychological Theatre. And today, the topic of the conversation is something we have discussed a lot in the previous videos, and it's related to division. And division is always a central aspect in our channel or on our channel, and I have tried to discuss division in as much detail as possible so that the the extent with which it affects our life is quite clear. So today I would like to show you or share with you that how observing relatively also contributes to division between two people, between different ideologies or something like this. So what do I mean from this observing relatively? Now, I do not know if you have observed it in yourself or not, but in general, our observation is very reactive. Like, you observe something, and as you observe, you also react to it. Okay? Maybe you are walking on a street, you watch the labels of the shops, the name of the shops, and you're reading it. That reading is a type of reaction to the observation. Maybe you see someone on the street, you see a pretty face, and you see it, and you're like, that's a nice, pretty face. That's a kind of a reaction to the observation. You see a nice car that you really want, or you see it could be anything. I'm just giving different examples to make it clear that relativistic or relative observation comes into play when you start to choose, basically, or when you start to label, to label things as this is this, this is that, this is this. So what happens when you do this kind of behavior? Okay, it's not when we do, because mostly we are doing it. If someone observes very carefully the activity of the general day-to-day working of the brain or of the mind, you would see that's how the mind is operating. It's trying to name everything, it's trying to label everything, it's trying to know everything, it's trying to be in this comfort zone of knowledge, a comfort zone of the known. So what the mind does is it tries to convert everything which it observes into the known. Okay, why it does that and everything, maybe it's a different topic for some other video. I can say it very briefly. It does it out of security. Okay, now how it does it out of security, how that security takes place, maybe that's the topic of another conversation or some other video. But today I just want to clarify how relative observation takes place. Okay, so basically what I'm trying to say is, when you observe with all the knowledge that you possess and you convert the observation into a version that you understand, okay, like you observe something and then you say it's a candle, it's a bicycle, it has two handles, two pedals, or whatever the description is. But the description is done according to what you know. So when you observe according to what you know, then what happens? Because it's happening every day in our society. Okay, now if you would pay your attention to the fact that every person who is living next to you, close to you, in the family, nearby, your friends, has a different set of knowledge, because every person has gone through different kind of experiences as they have grown up. Even if you're in the same society, your experiences have been quite different, because someone is born in some situation, some other person is born in a different situation. So the memory that the brain has of life is very different in every person. In some aspects it can be same, but it still has its own variability, so as to say. Now, now when you observe this fact that everyone has somewhat different set of knowledge in their brains, okay, because of the different experience they had through the life. Now, if these people or the people or people who have this variety of knowledge in their brains, okay, 10 different people having 10 different type of experiences of life. Now, if they all observe a single thing, they all observe with the knowledge set that they all have, which is 10 different knowledge sets, okay? So for a similar incident, 10 different versions are created for even a single happening, so as to say. So even though the happening is a single event, it's not 10 events, but when 10 people observe it, they explain it in 10 different ways, they understand it in 10 different ways, okay? Now what this does is, if someone asks the question, what actually happened? Okay, if a happening is observed, which is observed by 10 people, and they have their own set of knowledge from their life, and they observe this happening through the knowledge that they have possessed through the over life, then you see that for the same happening, you have 10 versions of the same thing. Now, it could sound something very basic, it could sound something very simple, but already you can see that these 10 versions have created confusion, right? Someone could ask, then what really happened? If there are 10 versions of one happening, then what was the thing which actually happened? Okay? And these 10 people could also start arguing among themselves that no, this is not what happened, this is how it happened. And all 10 of them are quite confident because they all saw it in that way, okay? When you are unaware that while observation, your previous knowledge is also contributing to your observation, then this happens. Because the person who observed would say, no, it's not an illusion or something like this. I observed it like this. I saw it like this with my own eyes. And this is how it is. And the second person is saying the same, and the third person. But in the end, there is no solution. There is usually no answer to the question. And we usually say either one of my most unfavorite statement, that we agree to disagree, which is just a stupid way of saying we don't want to find the truth of what actually is the right thing. Or we say, it's your opinion and my opinion. Let's respect each other's opinion and this and this. So the game of opinions, the game of suggestions, the game of personal opinion or this kind of thing only comes into play when you observe with your past experience, when you observe with the memory that you possess from the life that you have lived, which is stored in your brain. Now, if the 10 people in the same experiment who are observing a happening, if they knew how to observe without the past memory, okay, just observe and not do anything about that observation, okay? Not name the observation, don't label it, not explain it, not try to understand it in their own words, not justify it, not reject it. So if nothing is done about an observation and an observation is just left as an observation, okay, It is not converted into an opinion. It's not converted into an idea. It's not converted into a personal suggestion or something like this. Then you would see that all 10 people will give the same answer for the same happening. There is nothing magical about it. There is nothing super about it. It's just that from simple logic, if something is happening, then it's only one thing that has happened, and there should logically be only one explanation for it. Okay, you cannot, sun rises in the east and you cannot say 10 different ways, because that's a fact. A fact is to be expressed as it happens. Now what we do is we observe the fact, then we translate it into our own version of it through our experience, through our knowledge, and then we share this is how it happened. So this extra process of analyzing the fact, or the extra process of analyzing your observation, the analyzing the happening, that's where the personal or the relative or the opinion comes in. And that creates basically division. For a single happening, there can be 3 different versions when 3 people observe it from their past knowledge. And this past knowledge, observing with past knowledge, has created division. Because now there are 3 opinions which are standing next to each other, which are against each other. Okay? These people can start even fighting about this, which is what has happened in the history of humanity, that we have formulated opinions, we have formulated ideas, and then on the basis of those ideas or for those ideas, we have fought. It's still going on. It's not that, it's what has happened. So what I wanted to share in essence from this is that observation with the past knowledge is dangerous. It's dangerous because, first of all, it doesn't really observe what's actually happening. It observes what it wants to observe about the happening. Second, it creates different opinions. It creates division, so as to say. And then where there is division, there is a possibility of conflict. There's a possibility of violence. There's a possibility of interference. Okay? Interference only takes place when there are 2. Okay? So if you observe without the burden or the pressure of the past, if you observe without this constant analysis of the past about what you're observing, then you would see that the whole process has changed. Now your observation would be way more sensitive, way more precise, and even if multiple people observe the same thing, their answer about the same happening would be the same, because they're not using their past knowledge. You understand? A girl enters and 3 guys observe her. Okay, just a small example. Now they could use their past knowledge and say, a beautiful girl entered. I don't like this girl, she's not so beautiful. And a non-beautiful girl entered, one could say. And the third one could say, a normal, average looking girl entered. Okay, so for the same girl, these 3 could answer differently. Okay, but when they observe without the past knowledge, the only answer they all 3 give is that a girl entered. Okay, or a human entered, whatever is the situation. Just a very simple basic example. So the knowledge that you have creates classification. It creates segments, classifications. Now everyone is creating their own classifications, due to which we have conflicts among ourselves for the same events. So try to observe events without the burden of the past, without the pressure of the past, without the analysis of the past, without the naming of the past. Okay, I would try to make more videos about how this observation happens or what it requires, this observation without the past. But first, maybe I would like for you to see it yourself. Check, first of all, that this is what happens or not. That when you observe, you're constantly naming things, you're constantly analyzing things, you're constantly judging things. Then see if it's possible just to look, nothing else, just looking. Just looking at a tree, looking at a supermarket, looking at whatever you're looking at, and just look and do nothing about it. And you would see that there is a difference between these two observations. Okay? So, at the end, just putting everything together, that when you observe with your past, when you observe with your knowledge, you create classification, you create division, you create personal opinions, you create different variations of the same happening, of the same action, which creates confusion, which creates conflict between each other, and eventually leads to violence. So, can we see the danger of it? Can we see the danger of observing with the past or observing relatively according to ourselves? Okay, so that's all was today's video. It's a little short, but I'm just trying to be more consistent so that I can keep posting stuff for you guys a little bit more regularly than to make you wait for some months or something for the next video, which is very unprofessional of me. But yeah, again, thank you very much whoever was listening, and I hope you would enjoy this this observation, which is not relative. Thank you.